Busy old day today, better get going. So I was planning on covering the in-flight abort test for SpaceX today. You notice I'm using past tense here? There's always a 50-50 chance that the weather or the range or something will get in the way of an on-time launch. Anyway, not to worry, tomorrow, hopefully, I will get to watch that and relay my excitement to you because it's going to be pretty awesome. So instead of talking about the in-flight abort test, I'm going to my backup subject for the day, which is the Ionity charging network. Because what they have been doing in terms of charging customers for using this quick charge network is basically just like a flat £8, €8 fee for however much charging you do, which means that if you have a big battery and you charge up in one session from sort of 10% to 80-90%, you know, you can get a pretty cheap price per kilowatt hour out of it, really quite good. Now what they've done is if you're not a sort of a member of a scheme, which you can only be through buying a qualifying car like an Audi e-tron, for example, you have to pay a per kilowatt hour charge of 79 euro cents or 69 pence per kilowatt hour, which is incredibly expensive, more than twice what you pay for the Supercharger network, if indeed you pay anything for the Supercharger network. There is a slight difference there, of course, which is if you're using the Supercharger network, you are by default sort of part of the Tesla charging scheme, and Ionity it's basically the industry's reaction to Tesla superchargers. So being able to use it when you haven't bought a qualifying car and are a member of their sort of scheme, I suppose it kind of makes sense. Now the exact prices, as they will be for people who have bought, say, an e-tron, I don't have access to those. I assume, I hope that they're a lot cheaper. There's a big thing around charging and trying to make a business case for it. And for the most part, I don't think they really actually have quite worked out how to do that yet. Certainly at 69 pence a kilowatt hour, I will be putting Ionity electricity into this car extremely rarely, if ever. Because a full charge on this could easily cost 50 quid. I mean, that's like filling a tank on a diesel car. And you probably wouldn't get as many miles out of it as if you did fill a tank on a diesel car. So yeah, it's an absolute last resort charging solution. I'm pleased that they put in a large number of chargers. They tend to put sort of banks of 6 chargers in. I haven't actually seen any in the UK. They're obviously not as well distributed and as high profile as the Tesla Supercharger sites, which often have more than 6 bays these days. It may go some of the way to alleviate the advantage that Tesla have, because the Supercharger network is a massive advantage. It almost puts Tesla in an unassailable position as the lead EV manufacturer, because you can buy the car and feel confident that driving across Europe is not going to be a problem. Going long distances is perfectly doable. Plenty of people do. I have. It's not really that much of an inconvenience at all. It's actually quite a nice road trip vehicle, because if you've got your EV and you have to stop half an hour every 2-3 hours, that actually creates quite a nice cadence to the journey. Your legs aren't getting too knackered, you remember to stop and enjoy where you are a little bit. Yeah, it's fun, it's great, I love it. I would quite happily do it again if they'll let us back into Europe after the 31st of January, which is a question mark. Now, you might be wondering why I'm sitting in the back of the car talking to myself. It's because I'm a bit behind with the editing. And I figure if I can just maybe squeeze half an hour in now, that might be enough to help me get a video up today. We'll see. Better crack on, or it definitely won't be enough. You know when you've got a whole plan for the day and it just isn't happening? Yeah, I've still got at least half an hour of editing to do, and I am unfortunately completely out of time because Jasper is going to his first ever football match. Ever. So I will finish off this editing when I get home, and the video will just have to go up a day later. I mean, you know, wouldn't be the first time. At least I tried. That's an improvement.
We're going to the football match with time.
I see the manager gets a nice fancy chair, doesn't he? Wow, what a lucky boy. That was an awesome experience. And I don't even like football. Back to these Ionity Chargers. I had a bit of a look whilst the football match was going on, and it turns out there's like 4 sites in the whole of the UK for Ionity. They've got 4 chargers per site. It's really not in any way a competitor to the Supercharger network. Now I understand that they're going to be building it out and it's going to be bigger and the blah 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 in the future, but at the moment the fact that it's outrageously expensive just basically means there's 0 chance that anyone who doesn't have membership through their car purchase is going to use it. And even if you do have membership through your car purchase and therefore a cheaper rate of electricity, I'm pretty sure you're not going to use them anyway, because for the most part you're not going to live anywhere near one. You're going to have to find another way to get around in the UK. People have been talking about Ionity for ages, and maybe in the rest of Europe it's like really awesome, but to be fair, I didn't see any when I went to Italy a few years ago. That was a few years ago, so maybe they hadn't put them in the ground yet. It's the right idea, I think. It's just amazing that it can be backed by such big companies and yet be such a small network. You'd almost think their heart wasn't in it. I'm sure that's not the problem at all. I've just nipped out, we're grabbing some food quickly, you know, feed just before we get home, because you don't want to get home late with a hungry child. Nah. But I wanted to add a few little things about this Ionity network. So, and this is definitely a plus. They are into fairly high-powered chargers. So you could get up to 350 kilowatts and 800 volts if your car will support that, which I believe is basically the Porsche Taycan and nothing else at the moment. But yeah, I mean, certainly you're hopefully going to get higher than your little 50 kilowatt chargers, which really are a bit weedy for the big batteried EVs these days. The other interesting thing about the Ionity chargers is they don't tend to have a CHAdeMO on them. They're CCS Combo 2 only, which is fine for Teslas if they've got the CCS adapter, and it's fine for almost all the other vehicles that are sold in the UK, with the notable exception of the Nissan Leaf. And I think it's pretty much just the Nissan Leaf actually now that's CHAdeMO. Everything else is CCS, because that's just the way it's going in Europe. Even the Model 3 is a CCS car these days. Well, CCS plus the Tesla version of CCS, of course. I do wonder if they're going to enable other vehicles to use their CCS chargers at some point. In fact, I've been a bit disappointed that none of the other EV manufacturers have taken Tesla up on their promise to allow other manufacturers' vehicles to use the Supercharger network if they pay appropriately. Maybe that is one of those things that they sort of said they were okay with, but not really. Either way, it's a shame other people aren't using the Supercharger network, because the Supercharger network is miles ahead of anything else you're going to find in the UK for sure. To be honest, I think it's miles ahead of every other charging network anyway, and it really is Tesla's USP. So it's good that manufacturers like BMW and Audi and Jaguar are all sort of getting behind Ionity, but it would be better if the Ionity network was about 10 times bigger, because you do get this chicken and egg with EVs. People don't want to buy the EVs if the charging network isn't there, but the charging network is usually not there unless people are already buying the EVs. Tesla's solution was, we'll build it and they'll come, and they did. Doesn't seem that other charging networks and car manufacturers have quite sort of got round to that way of thinking just yet. I'm gonna go grab a burger. This car is disgracefully dirty. I really must wash it. Okay, well, that was a fun day. Really brilliant. How did you enjoy your first football match? Was it super awesome? Brilliant. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, remember to like it, share it, subscribe if you haven't already, follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you don't already, and I will see you in the next episode of my vlog. Bye. I hope the people that, you know, are at Ionity, which I don't think they will watch this, but I hope they do anyway, because I'd love to see a decent competitor to the Tesla supercharger network, you know, across Europe, and I do really well and help promote other EVs, and I just, at the moment, I don't see it.